Well, there we go. Hi, folks. Welcome into another edition of UnAnchored Boston with Bob Lobel. I'm Mike Lynch. And as always, our show is brought to you by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're in New Hampshire, of course. And by the great George Gray, the big wheel, we call him, at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. All right, speaking of big wheels, and backed by popular demand is our friend and linebacker, Ted Johnson. And as always, Bob Lobel handles the intro. So, Robert, take it away.
Well, Teddy doesn't need any intros. I mean, I think I know it's pretty rare that we've had somebody back so quickly. But you're,
I'm honored, Bob.
You're honored. We're honored to have you. But you're hot. I know when you're hot, you're hot. And, it's one of the great songs of all times, by the way. And first of all, again, for those people that didn't see the original Ted Johnson podcast, which was about a month ago. Just explain the painting behind you and the picture behind you, because you can't talk about you without talking about that picture.
This is one of my favorite pictures. It's from an artist / photographer. His name's Peter Lick. He's got amazing galleries. The one that I would recommend if you're ever in Las Vegas at the Caesar's shops it's phenomenal gallery there. Peter Lick. You walk into one of his galleries and you all walk out with one of his paintings, pictures. And so I have about four of his. A couple are in storage and a couple are hanging out in my house. I've loved it. I bought this probably 20 years ago. He's incredible. So if you ever get a chance to purchase one of his photographs / artworks, you won't be disappointed. It's great. And this one back here is called Ghost. That's the name of this one. This was taken in the caves of Lake Powell. Lake Powell borders the 4 states: Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Utah. And so that's a beautiful lake. And so these are in the caves of Lake Powell there, out west. So great stuff from Peter Lick.
First of all, if we're going to Las Vegas, it's doubtful we'll go to an art gallery.
Fair enough.
All right, that's fair enough. Okay, starting right there.
I get it.
But I don't know. I know you get it, but not only do we get this, but we get a geographical orientation of Lake Powell and the 4 corners. And
there you go.
It's your country. It's your kind of country. I get it. That's what Ted Johnson's all about.
That's right. I'm a SoCal, Western, West Coast kind of guy at heart. At the end of the day. So I do enjoy my time out west when I get a chance to go out there.
Is there a chance? And I'll shut up in a minute, Lynchy, okay? And
I'll
shut up.
Take it away.
Is there a chance? Is there any chance we won't talk about Mac Jones today and Bill Belichick? Is there any chance this will ever go away? I mean, it is this relentless drumbeat, relentless. I don't remember ever. I can't even, usually it was some Red Sox player that was the end of everybody's anger.
Yeah.
But this has been constant. Mac Jones, how many reps did he get? Bailey Zappi, what's wrong with the quarterback? What's wrong with the coach? He's too old. Where's he going to go? Over, and I'm guilty. We've done our share. It's the reason. One of the reasons you're here, because you've been very outspoken about this right from the get-go, before anybody even dared to talk about it. Whispered. It was like criticizing Jesus, for crying out loud. But, you were out there, and everything you said is coming to fruition. The guy's he's a psychological study, if nothing else, at this moment. All right, I'm done, Lynchy. I'm shutting up at the moment until I get to the camper's RV. Okay.
I tell you, Bob and Mike, it is, obviously you guys have been, covering sports in this town for a long time. And, for Lobie, for you to kind of, talk in ways that you seem, perplexed by it all it says something, right? I mean, that this is where we're coming to, that there's just this, I don't know, this intensity around the situation, and it's mostly because of the players involved, but mostly because Bill Belichick. I think where it's hard for people to kind of process is just where we're at compared to where we used to be, right? I mean, it's just all the success for so long, and then to see where it's at this point, I think is from a psychological standpoint, it's just really difficult to explain. However, I will say that if you know the players involved, if you're particularly Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, I feel like I have a pretty good beat on those guys that I've known for a very long time. I've done a lot of contracts with Belichick. I played for him for 6 years. I know the man pretty well, and he is a study in psychology, trying to understand how he thinks, why he makes the decisions, what is really motivating him. It's not like what a lot of us would think motivates him, or how he thinks is different than a lot of us. So it's a very difficult kind of situation to understand because of the complexity, I think, in Bill Belichick's personality. And so that's number one. That's what makes it so fascinating. And then I think it's just to see Mac Jones, guys. I mean, it's hard for me to unsee what I saw his rookie year. No, he wasn't, it wasn't like he was a world beater his rookie year, but he looked like a competent, functional, more than serviceable quarterback in this league. And to see what we're seeing now, guys, I mean, you guys can maybe compare it to something you've seen maybe in this sport or in another sport where I don't know if I've ever seen right in front of my eyes an athlete completely just melt down. Like, it's been a slow kind of death here for Mac Jones, but it's nonetheless, I've never seen somebody start at this point and then end up where Mac is from a talent standpoint. He just is not the same player he once was just 2 years ago. And I think that's the most shocking thing. And I think what's really shocking is just the coaches and Bill Belichick in particular, how responsible they are for this. And I feel like they could have changed the course of Mac's kind of, playing and maybe, they could have done a better job of helping the kid along. And it just didn't feel like Bill was really interested in doing that. And this is where we're at. And it's hard because it's shocking when you consider how great this franchise it was at one time, and to see where it's at is really kind of humbling for a lot of people and just hard to process at the end of the day.
So do you think that he got off the rails so far last year with Matt Patricia and Judge that no matter who they brought in to get him back on the rails this year, it was an impossible task?
Mike, there was a residual effect from last year that's carried over into this year. There's no question about it. But I think you could have really helped yourselves if you kind of nurtured the quarterback a little bit better. Let's just face it. After what happened last year, you would think there would maybe be, okay, hey, let's get Mac in here. Let's get him comfortable. Let's build up some trust, because the head coach lost the trust of the quarterback last year, and I think it was the head coach's job to get the head quarterback back on track and trusting. Those two personalities needed to trust one another after what happened last year. And I just don't think Belichick made any real effort to mend fences, to kind of bury the hatchet, if you will, and work from a clean slate this year. There was no explanation for what happened last year, and really no apologies, I think. And in Belichick, we all know that's the last thing he wants to do is have to apologize to this, to Mac Jones of all people on why he did what he did, or explain why he did what he did. And so I think just the relationship has deteriorated and soured, and that's the most important relationship on the team. I'm sorry, the coach and the quarterback have to be partners. There has to be a partnership. That's just how it works in today's. Now, 20 years ago, why does the head coach have to be best friends with the quarterback? He doesn't. But it's a different time now. It's a different era. It's a different time for athletes, and Belichick has not adjusted to that. And he's instead of lifting up his guys, he's kind of coaching in the same way he always did, which back then the athletes responded to the way Bill coaches. Today's athlete doesn't as much, and particularly like a guy like a Mac Jones doesn't. And so it's an absolute mess. And, I feel like it could have been resolved or at least looked a lot better if Bill Belichick was just willing to be humble himself, to start over, to admit his faults with Mac, to try and build that trust up. And I think that would have gone a long way into seeing, at least that would have helped Mac, I think, better, more this year and help him get back on track from where he was his rookie year. But they it didn't seem like Bill was really too motivated to do that. And so you have no trust at all.
Mr. Johnson, you're asking a guy to do the impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. For him to do that is not possible. I don't know if you saw Napoleon yet, the movie.
I haven't seen it. No.
Do yourself a favor and go see it in IMAX.
Okay.
You'll be amazed. There are scenes in Napoleon that look just like Belichick. I'm not, you think I'm making a joke, but there are times I saw Joaquin Phoenix, who did a fantastic job being Napoleon. There are times he looked almost exactly like Belichick, even at the press conference. Just grumpy all the time. And he would, who would he apologize to? Nobody, ever.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, and that just doesn't work today. The players got to feel like that the coaches are in it with them. Like that is a partnership. It is from the very beginning. It has felt like it's the coaches over here and the players over here. And if the players don't do what the coaches want, then it's not going to work. And it all starts at the top. The guy who sets the tone, Belichick, also known as Napoleon, he's got to set the entire tone. When he doesn't hold, like, for example, this week.
He should come out in his press conference with the hat on. That would be
something. Have a little humor, Bill. Why don't you come out with one of the Napoleons?
Right.
That would get a good laugh from everybody. But
you unite people more with humor than you do with, antagonism and fear.
It's amazing what you see. And that's, they just real quick on that point, Bob, it's people go, well, what can they do to change things? What can they do to change things? It's like, well, you can't bring, people in, the roster set. But if Bill just changed his tone, his the way in which he communicates, and his words are so impactful. His words mean so much to players. And if he just changed the tone of his message and I think lightened up a little bit and made it more fun, it didn't make it going to work such drudgery, I think he would be amazed at the impact that would have and what he would get back. I think you would get players more focused.
Ted, that's not possible. I think you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Your diagnosis is right on, your prescription is right on, but he's not going to take that medicine.
No. And so this is where we're at. And I think we're at a point now, Bob and Mike, that so it's, now the question is, where do we go from here? And I think it's pretty obvious because he's not going to change. And it's so bad at this point. It's so toxic. It's so dysfunctional that things got to change, guys. And I'm everybody I talk to is so confident that Bill is not going to be here next year, which I'm a little bit concerned about that maybe that's not the case. I don't know why. I just don't.
I feel exactly the same way. Just because that tide is just totally swung toward he's gone. It's just a matter of where's he going to go. Then all of a sudden it's going to turn around and he's going to end up showing up back here.
Don't you guys? Doesn't it feel like there's so much work to get it? I don't know.
Well, you're quarterback. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah. My mother sends me an email after every game. She's almost 92 years old, and she says she feels bad for the kid. And I actually the last game, I felt bad for him. She says I say a rosary for him during the game. And
God bless
I said, but I watched the last game, and like every time he's thrown into triple coverage, I'm going, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's throwing like the 10 feet over the tight end's head out of bounds, and I'm saying the poor kid can't even throw an out pass now. He just doesn't have the confidence to do anything. And you watch him coming off the field, and You just want to put your arm around his shoulder and say, "Listen, it's okay. Go someplace else." We go back to Jim Plunkett. Things didn't work out for him here; they worked out well for him someplace else. And it's happened with a lot of quarterbacks. Brett Favre. You probably could name 3 or 4 guys that found success somewhere else. He's not going to find success here. Never.
I agree. I think that ship has sailed. And even if what a lot of insiders will say is true, that Bill is really truly going to be moving on from this team next year, and that he's got options other places, then if you were to ask me, a month ago when we did this, and you said, do you think Matt could maybe stay and work things out here in New England if Bill was gone? I would have maybe said, yeah, there's a possibility. But I just think even if Bill's gone, you guys, I think Mac's got to get a fresh start somewhere else. I just think New England, the fans, everything needs to be flushed out, and that he probably does. It's probably in his best interest, Mike, to go somewhere else and to start all over. I just can't see him figuring it out here, even if there's a new regime next year.
You know what? I'm impressed with so far. We start this podcast today with Lobel and Ted Johnson talking about art galleries, and then we're talking about Napoleon. And this is a side of both of you guys that I've never seen before. Never thought that we'd be sitting here. I'm kind of interested, like, where this conversation would go, in the next half hour or so.
Well, let me tell you this. I had dinner with George Gray a couple nights ago, and we talked about cremation versus burial. So if there's anything else you want to go there, I said we're both at that age when I said, well, when I got on the podcast and I see Ted and Mike, I'm going to ask them if they're going to be buried or they're going to be cremated. Which do they prefer? So you want to know where they're going? You want to know your direction? I have a list of things. Napoleon was just at the top. We haven't talked about David Beckham since. Okay, so on and on we go.
Time. But for the record, cremation, I'm okay with that.
Put me down for that.
All right.
Help me. Please help me.
I love it.
Michael, you brought it on.
I haven't made up my mind. I'll let you know when it happens. All right.
All right. Fair enough.
You send me a note.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you this. The old saying, and it's more in the NBA than any place else. They've tuned out the coach. They've tuned out the coach after a certain amount of years. Is it possible players on that team have tuned Bill out, especially the defense? Give up 10 last week, give up 10 in the game before that. You should win a football game if you give up 10 points. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good defensive job for one afternoon. Is it possible they've tuned him out?
I think so, Mike. And it's really the way you can get the way that Bill got us. Let's go back 23 years or so years ago and go back to when he first got here. And how did he get, my teams that I was on, those early 2000 teams, how did he get us to buy in? And how does that guy that just seems miserable every single day of his life get all of us to rally and believe in him and to buy what he was selling? It was this simple. He said, guys, if we do these things, we will win the football game. And we would go do those things, and we would win the football game. And then we started believing in Bill. And you know what we wanted more than anything was to win football games. Like, that was just so. We had a lot of high compete guys, very competitive guys, very driven, and it was a unique mixture of just really talented players who had a really strong will to win. And we were willing to do, we just wanted somebody to tell us what we needed to do to win the games. And Bill had good game plans, and he could scout the opponent, and he knew the other team's weaknesses, and he knew how to call a game, and he had really good in-game decision-making that was part of it. And so we completely bought in to what he was selling. Bill doesn't have the same. What he's selling. This team is not buying. There's just nothing that he's selling to them that is like worth really buying for these guys. Like, a lot of the defensive stuff that he would do was cutting edge and next level 23 years ago. It's not as much anymore, right? And it's just not what he's doing now on defense isn't all that different than what a lot of other teams are doing. It's maybe a little bit of a wrinkle here and there, but for the most part, the book's out on what Bill does. Everybody knows how Bill thinks on offense and defense now, so teams can scout the Patriots better. So they don't have the Patriots. Don't have that advantage having Bill Belichick as their coach as much anymore, because a lot of what he made him so great is kind of what everyone else is doing now. And so the players just aren't responding. And Bill clearly isn't. The way that you get guys to buy in is you give them good schemes, you in-game manage the right way, you don't screw it up. And Bill, in-game management decisions have been awful. There's a lot of, why don't you go for it on fourth down, Bill? Why are you playing conservative at the end of the game, Bill? Why are we running a casino blitz on 3rd and 10 when the Giants are on the Patriots 12-yard line when it was not necessary to do that, and then they score a touchdown on you? There's a lot of decisions that Bill's making that players are looking at and going, why did you do that? Why did you start now?
Let me ask you, like a decision before the season started to trade your field goal kicker, who was money, for a 7th or 5th round pick to Tennessee, who's still money, and then to bring in a rookie who can't kick a game-tying 32-yard field goal. So that would immediately say, okay, there's an example of exactly what we're talking about.
It's a great example, and just take it one further. Who had another guy that we highlighted this week? Not only Nick Folk, who went to Tennessee, who used to be on this roster, who's 21 of 22 on his field goals this year. That's pretty good, huh, Lobel? It's Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers had 7 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown for the Las Vegas Raiders this week. He's been unbelievable for the Raiders. Why can't we get guys like that, Lobel? Right? That's another example where guys lose trust in Bill, and there's just so many decisions that he's made that have looked like it just hasn't been in the best interest of the team. What he likes to say over and over again, players aren't buying that anymore, and so you see an unmotivated, uninspired football team, particularly on offense.
How do you blow it up? Now, this is you hear this, you hear from, Felger and Maserati, and I love those guys and everything else. But how do you fix it? How do you blow it up? How does Robert and Jonathan fix it? I mean, you get rid of you bring in whatever. I don't know who you bring. How do you fix it? And you think it's just by getting a quarterback?
Before you get to that point, who is the executioner here? Robert or Jonathan? And do either one of them have the guts to terminate Bill Belichick? I think that's the big question before you even get there.
You know what's funny, Mike, is that a lot of people think that's a crazy question. Like, I can't even believe that would be asked. But I would agree with you, Mike. I think it's not as easy as people think.
Yeah,
I think that's I think the Crafts are wrestling with that decision. But a decision has to be made, like, right now. To me, in my mind, they should already know. And I'm here, and I'll be honest, you guys, I hear, I'm not a reporter. I'm not on the beat, and I'm not, trying to sift information from people. But, I hear things, and I'm hearing that it's a foregone conclusion that Bill isn't going to be here next year. That's kind of how it's being told to me, is that Robert Kraft has kind of already made up his mind. I feel like I'm kind of like with you, Lobel. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing. But that's what I'm being told. But it's not going to be easy, right?
I don't think the word fire. When you fire somebody, that means somebody says a decision. I don't want you here anymore.
Yeah,
leave.
Right.
That is harsh. But there can be gentler ways, as Lynch and I both know. Maybe not kinder, but certainly gentler ways of just not renewing your contract, and just different ways of parting. Yeah. And there's always going to be a financial reward because it's in his contract. Obviously, yep. He's going to get a chunk of money if they part ways, but there might be some other, there are other concessions that can take place. all I'm saying is that a severance here and now is not in anybody's best interest, Kraft's or Belichick. So, but a gentle, let's go. It's time to go our different ways.
See, I don't think it's going to be. That's what I think. That's what I'm. Hey, get your popcorn ready. I'm kind of like, okay, what's going to happen? Is this going to be a gentle exit, or as what Gris Casper likes to say, there's going to be an elegant solution to how? I'm not anticipating it, guys. I'm feeling like this could get ugly. I can't see Bill sitting there going, Kraft's because if Kraft fires him, then he's got to pay him for what is being reported is another year, because supposedly Bill has a contract through next year, and the Kraft doesn't want to pay him. Well, Bill's going to basically say, look, I'm not going to retire and I'm not going to resign. You're going to have to fire me and pay me, and that's not really what probably Kraft wants to do. And at the end of the day, I think that's what Kraft has to do is if forget trying to trade him, because I think if you try to trade him, you got to get three parties to agree on the same thing. You have to get the team that you're trading to agree to it. You have to get Kraft to agree to it, and you have to get Belichick to agree to it. I just think that is a lot of work, and it's going to be not as easy as just finding a team that's okay with trading. And Bill doesn't want to get traded to a team that's giving up a draft pick to get him, right? Because
right, that's logical. I mean, there's so many different levels to this. There's so many different, as you're bringing up all of them. Mike thought it was, maybe it's the quarterback, but the other point of is it Jonathan or is it Robert?
Okay.
Or is it both of them? So all these levels are at play here, and all of them are worth a discussion. But it keeps going round and around and around, and the point
you can bring Shakespeare in now, Bob. You can say parting is such sweet sorrow. So now we've got Peter Lick.
Oh my God!
We've got Napoleon, and now we have Shakespeare.
Right, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Lynchy, I would guess of the three of us, you're the only one that would probably reference Shakespeare. So I'm not surprised.
Don't give him too much credit, Ted. That's
fair enough. But to answer, just to answer the Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft question, I think it's Robert Kraft. I mean, if you listen to Bill O'Brien, in the last month or so in his press conference, he's referenced Robert Kraft a couple of times when it comes to making decisions actually on the quarterback position. So Robert is involved in personnel decisions still. Like, I think Robert had a hand in drafting Mac to some degree. I think Robert has had a hand in Mac playing this year or not playing this year to some degree. Not all of it, but I think he's had influence and input in that. And so I think at the end of the day, it's still Robert Kraft wants to be the head decision maker and really hasn't passed the torch to Jonathan, at least from my perspective and what I'm told.
Who wants the blood on their hand? Who wants to be? Is they going to be Pontius Pilate, or are they going to say, "I did it. It's I made the decision"? Who's going to have the blood on their hands?
It's nobody. Everybody's trying to not get caught with the weapon in their hand. That is what you have right now. Is all parties are. It's not me. Look at that guy. It is. That's where we're at right now. And I know you guys have seen that dynamic played out in probably all over the years on the different.
It happened with Dan Duquette. That's the only one that I can kind of remember. That was Dan was walking around spring training. He was the only one that didn't know he was about to be fired. It was just really bizarre. Remember that, Lynchy?
Yeah.
So bizarre. And but I can't remember any other thing close to this.
Tom Landry comes to mind.
But I mean, in Boston, I'm in here.
But I mean, this is very similar to. I mean, they got a new owner, Jerry Jones, came in, but I mean, how do you fire Tom Landry, and how do you fire Bill Belichick? Yeah. Well, Tom Landry did get fired, and Bill Belichick may get fired.
How do you fire Bill Parcells?
Yeah, and right, and Lobel, and the word is, the Kraft has never lived that one down. That he still has issues with people blaming him for letting go of Parcells. So can you imagine the trepidation he might have as far as being known as the guy that fired, Bill Belichick? Don't you guys know the egos on these guys? I mean, that's their legacy is, we all care about our legacy. Like all of us, we all want to have great, they obsess over it, right?
It's a bad time to start thinking about our legacies. Should have thought about it 30 years ago.
Right? But you think about that. Think about how different, and that was always fascinating to me, is that when Tom left, I was so shocked that Belichick left himself so exposed. Okay, Bill, you don't want Tom anymore. You're going to give him low ball offers. You're going to basically engineer it so that he leaves, because that's really what Bill wanted. He didn't want Tom as his quarterback anymore. He wanted to show everybody he could do it without Tom. And I just was kind of, I was like, I thought Bill was smarter than that. But you know what? Hubris, ego. You should never underestimate that.
Napoleon made some mistakes too along the line.
There you go.
He had his own Waterloo.
There you go. And so it's. I guess my point is, when Tom moved on, Bill's legacy was incomplete, and everybody thought it was cemented. That no matter what Tom did and what Bill did after Tom left, that it didn't matter. Are you kidding me?
It was the shortest running argument in the history of Boston sports. Brady or Belichick?
Yep.
Brady or Belichick? That argument lasted a year and a half.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Who did you, Ted? Last time we did this, who did you pick to ride across country with you?
Oh, I did. Oh, I picked my man.
Don't think about it, because you're going to get a chance again.
Okay.
You can kick him out, and you can kick him out in Kansas City and pick up a new rider.
Okay, fair enough. All right, very good.
All right, just let me run through this about winter storage and how important it is. As you must know, it's time think about the winter storage of your vehicle at Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire. So you might as well start getting ready for 2024. We're getting our teams lined up. We're worrying about the in-season tournament with the Celtics. Oh, God, can they please win the season tournament somehow? Please figure out a way. Score 200 points a game. RV, Cold Springs RV, the latest in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheelers, and motorhomes. Go to coldspringsrv.com. Learn more about it. See them all. Winter storage and so important, winterizing. They have a RV service center, especially for the winterizing of your trailers. So get to Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire, which is just west of Goffstown and north of Haverhill. And now, Ted, I don't know if you remember, Lynch, you go ahead. This is where you deal with your question, which is the highlight of the show.
Well, remember, for those who are tuning in for the first time, it's still in the planning stages. The Lobel RV.
Oh yeah, been planning that for a long time.
I know. Well, it's like, do you think they built the first?
No, Rome was not built
on the moon. Shakespeare did everything that fast.
No, Napoleon took him a while getting 3 million.
And Peter Lynch probably took him a long time to build up his gallery, but you get the Lobel cruiser to go cross country. We'll fly you back home. You get to take anybody with you that you want to ride shotgun. Somebody past, present, alive, or deceased, and somebody that you really would like to drive cross country with, and have them ride shotgun.
You can do it now. We'll pull it out of winter storage for you. We'll do it now. Go to Arizona now. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I remembered, and I remembered who I would take with me, and so I remember it was Matthew McConaughey, because I'm a Texan, and Matthew was from Boston. And I some people might say, he's full of baloney. I find the guy interesting. You know what? And I think, I don't know if I told you, but I have this fascination with actors. Like, I want to be an actor so bad, and I'll never be one. I'd suck at it.
Don't say that.
Huh? No.
Look at Charles Barkley. Now he's a star on CNN, for crying out loud. Don't ever count yourself out. Believe me, you got what it takes.
Fair enough. I got to stop. I got to stop doing that. I don't want to catch myself out.
Put that down, Ted.
All right. So who are you going to take? You took Matthew the first time. Now you have a different choice this time.
Who am I going to take this time? That is a good question. I'm going to take a former teammate of mine who I ran into about a month ago. I'm going to take me and Mike Vrabel are going to go cross country. Vrabel is one of the more unique individuals you'll ever meet. I got to see him at his Hall of Fame inductions. First time I've really been back to Foxborough in that kind of capacity. And so it was very nice to get a warm welcome, but it was great to see Mike and talk a little bit about his career on the panel that was up there for his Hall of Fame into the Patriots Hall of Fame induction. And so Mike's one of the more fascinating guys I've ever met. And so Braves would probably be one of my top guys that I want to go cross country with. I love the guy and I admire him. And he's just a fun guy to be around. And so that would probably be that would be a lot of fun. McConaughey and Vrabel, that's a fun group right there.
Now, who would do more talking in that trio right there? Vrabel, McConaughey, or you?
It would be a fight between McConaughey and Vrabel, but Vrabel will win. And I could see them getting into these really deep philosophical, kind of debates. And I've always said this, if you ever get a chance to debate Mike Vrabel in anything, good luck. It's not going to be when it comes to verbal jousting, nobody is better than Mike Vrabel. And so he's got opinions for days, and he's not afraid to share them. And he usually, more times than not, will just slaughter you in any real debate. And so I think at the end of the day, Vrabel would probably dominate the conversation in that group.
You leave New England and Campers Showcase and get to Nashville and as a Titan coach, and then leave there as a Patriot coach on the way back.
Hey, that's the word, maybe, Lobie. That's the word.
So would you join him on his staff if he came back?
You know what?
What if he asked you, Ted, I want you to be my linebacker coach?
I would. It would be hard. It'd be hard for me to say no. It would be hard for me to say no. And I'm at a time now when my son's about to graduate from high school, so I'm kind of looking for something in my next chapter here of my life here. And so if Vrabel was to ask me to coach linebackers, and I'd be happy. See, I'm not a guy that needs to be the head coach. I would be really happy just coaching my linebackers, connecting with just those guys. I don't need the stress of it all. You know, I look at these guys as head coaches. A lot of them look miserable. The stress, and I'm not wired that way. I got to keep the stress level down. And so just
how high would you go, Ted? Defensive coordinator, or how high would you go without the stress?
D coordinator would be I would be happy as a clam coaching, maybe being a D coordinator. And then I get to, it's funny. I'm starting to get in a weird place in my life where I could see, my son's, he's going to go play at soccer at Middlebury College, a small school up in Vermont.
It's not that small a school, and everybody knows Middlebury College. Middlebury's got a great reputation.
They do, but you're right. And, I guess I walk on their campus, and it reminds me of like a mini Boulder, right? I mean, so you got, it's comparatively speaking to where I went to school, it's a small school, but I get your point, Bob. It's a bigger school for the NESCAC schools, but I don't know. I see those kids out there, and they're all just, they're playing football not to go to the NFL. They're playing football because they love to play football.
Yep.
They're there to get a good education, and they're going to go be engineers and doctors and lawyers and important people in the world. And so their football days will be done. There's a part of me that that has this kind of a connection to that player and to that person. So I think I can enjoy something like that. But that would probably be it as far as coaching. Coach linebackers, I would love to.
So this is why you want Vrabel with you on the van, so you can, chat him up and
work all these things out. Right.
No, Mike, by the time you're going to leave New England, by the time you come back, you'll be the defensive coordinator under Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. And Vrabel won't be going to Hook 'em Horns games. He'll be going to the Patriots games on the sidelines. This will be like James Gardner used to show up at the Raiders sidelines all the time. We could have Matthew McConaughey come to the game. He'd be probably Bon Jovi. Instead of Bon Jovi being the local celebrity, it would be
there you
McConaughey.
Go. I like it. James Gardner, great pull, man. He was a stud, James Garner. I didn't realize he was a Oakland Raider fan, huh?
Oh my God, he was on the sidelines every game, playing clothes.
Well, he can sit with Kraft too. I mean, it's not Taylor Swift, but at least it's it's somebody.
It's in that ilk, It's a space.
It is.
Yeah. it was interesting is that I speaking of the Raiders, I didn't realize Tom Hanks was a huge Raider fan. I found out he wrote a letter to the family of Kenny Stabler.
Really?
I guess he wrote a letter to the family when Kenny Stabler passed, and he was I think Kenny Stabler, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He wrote a letter to the family saying how much he was a big fan of Kenny's and their family. So random, a lot of these famous actors, their fandom in some of their sports teams I always find that fascinating to find out when they share that.
Hey, did you ever ski when you were in Colorado?
I did. Not a lot, but I did. We take advantage of some of the discounts that students get at some of the ski resorts. I mean, some of the best ski resorts in the country are in right outside of Boulder. So I took advantage of that. I absolutely love snow skiing. One of my favorite activities. Yep.
Not in your contract. Did you do it on the sly, or were you allowed to do it?
No, it was do it at your own risk. I'm trying to remember the language. I think it's not specific to snow skiing, but risky activities that was on you. But I didn't do it a lot, Mike and Bob. I didn't do it a lot, but I every now and then I would take my chances and go out there, especially in Colorado, or if I was ever out west in Utah, big wide runs.
Yeah.
You ski in the east.
Yeah.
You might never come back. The steep, the ice, the narrow trails, the people are out of control, and there's just much more opportunity to hurt yourself.
There's snowboards. The snowboards will just drive you crazy.
Yeah. I always see snowboarders on their butts, not snowboarding, right? So, no thanks. I'm a two-plane guy for sure.
Yeah. Plus, there are moguls out there.
Yeah, watch out for the moguls.
Seriously.
No thanks. I was never able to ski the bumps. It's just not my thing. Put me on just regular groomed trails, wide trails, and I'm happy with that.
Newmeyer and I went on an American Airlines trip with Bernie Willett, and we went to Breckenridge. Oh, was that nice? Perfect.
Nice.
I mean, just tailor-made for the intermediate scared skier. It's so wide, and the gradual slopes. Like 4-mile run would take you a half hour to get down. And then I come back here and I go to a place like Attitash, just like skiing on the Empire State Building, like straight down.
It's true. It'll take you 25, 30 minutes to get to the top of some of these mountains on a gondola out west, right? I mean, where on the east, it takes you all of 3 minutes to get to the top. It's totally different skiing experience. No question.
There's the ice. There's no better place in Park City. Okay, well, let's shut up about this for a second. You want to go right? You say your son's going to Middlebury to play soccer.
Yes, sir.
So have you watched the Beckham thing on Netflix?
I haven't watched it yet.
You got to see it, Ted. You got to see it.
About his impact on
the next David Beckham. Tom Brady and David Beckham have a lot in common.
Oh! I have to check it out. I've heard about it, and I'm guessing it goes back to his time when he entered the MLS as a big world star. But
the whole career is a remarkable story. Plus, Posh Spice is hot.
I like it, Toby. Don't ever change.
I'm just passing it. You're not going to.
I hadn't noticed that myself. I have to tell you. Thank you for pointing
you're my linebacker coach right now. Okay. That's the test.
Good. All right.
Now, if you're the linebacker coach, though, will Vrabel let you come on the podcast?
If who?
No.
If Vrabel's the head coach and you're the linebacker coach or the defensive coordinator, will he let you come on this show?
Oh, that would be part of my contract. I'd have to be allowed to come on UnAnchored with Mike Lynch and Bob Lobel at any time. So I would make that a contractual kind of thing. If there was going to be a problem with that, then I'm getting it in my contract that I can talk to you guys anytime I want.
Deal. I like it.
All right. Very good.
Like it. So
go ahead.
Where are we going from here? We've got how many games left?
Six games left.
6 games left. And, it's almost like, what's the point? I mean, what are they playing for? Did you tank? Well, it's not easy to do. There's a big. you get a lot of attention. I mean, they need a quarterback.
The tanking thing, isn't that a kind of a myth when you look at Purdy and Brady and you see guys, that either weren't picked or were picked low? It's such a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Even you guys that are picked high, don't necessarily are guaranteed. So why play the tanking game? I mean, it's different in the NBA.
Yep.
I think it's a lot different in the NBA where the talents are much more transferable.
It's different than the NBA, Bob, and even like Major League Baseball. I've seen tanking work. I was I did radio in Houston for 7 years, and I saw the Astros literally lose 100 games 2-3 years in a row, and then build up their team by getting high draft picks because they sucked for so long, and then go win the World Series in 2017. Like, okay, that worked. That you see it work in baseball. You've seen it maybe work in basketball. That doesn't work in football. And I'm kind of amazed. It's kind of shocking to me hearing fans this year talk like fans used to talk in Houston when I covered the Texans and they wanted the Texans to tank. It's just kind of shocking to hear this fan base talk like that when you consider the success we've had. But that's what fans want them to tank, and I can't. I don't see it. I can't. It's not in my nature. To ask, you can engineer it in a way so that they tank, right? You can play players that maybe aren't that good, and so it's going to engineer a loss by just who you play and the scheme.
Weren't you here when Castle threw the extra point pass into the, and so you guys ended up playing Jacksonville instead of whoever it was.
I wasn't on the team, but I remember that story. He threw it up in the stands so they engineered it so that they got it was Jacksonville in the first round.
A weaker opponent in the playoffs than he would have. Got him to the next round anyway.
Yeah. And what's interesting though about the tanking guys is just that I think if you were being honest if the owner was being honest, Robert Kraft, about the situation, my guess is he would be quite pleased with a higher draft pick. I just can't imagine Belichick. I can't imagine him trying to lose games because of the Shula record, which I'm being told he is obsessed with. Like that it is something that he really wants. So that is counter to what maybe some of the higher ups in the organization want. Like, so you have these two conflicting kind of views on how these last 6 weeks should play out. My guess is I could see Kraft kind of looking at his brand's taking a hit. People think this is the low point. What happened last week was the absolute low point. I don't know. It could still get lower with 6 weeks left. It can continue to go down even lower. And so my guess is at the end of the day, truly more than anything, and Lobel, you said it, it's a crapshoot. So whether you get the second pick or the fifth pick, I think the best thing for this team to do, you guys, is to try and win as many games as you can to kind of with every win for at least a week or so, you kind of keep the dogs at bay. But if you continue to lose, all it does is pile on and pile on. And it's fascinating, too, to think about after this game on Sunday against the Chargers, guys, that I believe it's 3 games in a row that are going to be nationally televised games. Like it's a Thursday night game, a Monday night game, and then a Christmas Eve game against the Denver Broncos. And so
they have Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Denver next.
Yep. And they're all nationally televised games. I guess the point I'm trying to make is it can get lower because now the national audience is going to be seeing how bad it is, not just us local guys covering the team.
So they have six games, all of which they could lose without any imagination, except they play the Jets the last game of the season with Aaron Rodgers, presumably a quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's like theoretically they could lose the next 6 games without even trying, without even tanking.
You're right, and I don't know. It's a shocker. I mean, I don't know what 5 or 6 wins sounds a whole lot better than just 2 wins. 2 wins is an absolute abject failure, and no one saw that. I mean, I saw I saw at best 8 wins, which is look 8, 9. I thought, but going into that's respectable. It's not great, but I didn't see this quite happening. And you're right, a 2-win season is on the table. If you can't beat the Colts and you can't beat the Giants and you can't beat the Washington Commanders with a 5th round draft pick rookie, then who can you beat? I don't see it. So a 2-win season is really on the table.
It's very, very similar to what the Jets have been going through with Zach Wilson, right?
Same kind of
same thing. I mean, we're just a step behind them in what they're going through. They're now running a backup quarterback and wondering if Aaron Rodgers will or should come back. And they've given up on their quarterback. He's done in New York. Mac Jones is done here. And there's 2 guys taken in the first round, 2nd pick and 15th overall pick.
Yeah. Yep. So to just kind of that bolsters the what Bob was saying, that there's no guarantees. I mean, you look at what happened this year in this year's rookie draft class with the quarterbacks, what Carolina's going through versus what the Texans are going through. I mean,
yeah.
Carolina, the first overall pick with their guy, it looks like that was a complete swing and miss where, the Texans got the 2nd quarterback off the board and you see how they're rolling. So it's, you use the term crapshoot, Lobie, and I'll never forget a discussion I had with Pete Carroll right before a draft. I don't know if it was the 98 draft, the 99 draft, where we were working out before the draft, the morning of. And I'll never forget Pete just saying, Ted, it's a crapshoot. That's a head coach. And he's like, we do our best. We try and study and we try and get as much information on these guys. But at the end of the day, you really don't know what you're getting until you get it and you find out and you go through it. So it's so true. So tanking to me is not a good strategy because there's no guarantee that's going to pay dividends either.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. Let me ask you something. You said at the beginning of the show, Robert very well, Bill very well. You've done a couple of contracts with him. Did you ever sit in on a negotiation with Bill?
No, but I would love to. I would love to be a fly on the wall in a lot of meetings with Bill. But nope, that was I should have asked my agent Jack Mills. He's out there. Boy, I should ask him how some of those meetings went. I would love to, but no, I've never sat in one of those.
You didn't want to really, you probably at some level didn't want to know.
You're probably right. No, you're probably right. I can't imagine it being too fun for the player. And Bill's very, it's fascinating. So a negotiation is almost the wrong term to use when it comes to that process of getting a contract with the Patriots. You don't negotiate with the Patriots. You were made there's an offer, and either you accept it or you don't. So what is my point? My overall point is Bill has a number in which he thinks you're worth, and if you ask for $1 more, I know exactly what your worth is. You're telling me you don't. I know, and if you don't accept my offer, then they move on. That happens all the time with Bill. Bill doesn't negotiate. He puts a number. He says, this is what we're offering, and you take it or you don't. There might be some little things in there, like if you really want to squeeze it, as much as you can out of that negotiation with Bill, then he might say, oh, you want more money? Okay, well, it's going to be incentive laden and it's going to be playtime percentages, and it's going to be if you hit this many plays, and it's going to nickel and dime you, and it's just not a fun process. So the point is, you don't negotiate with Bill. He gives you a contract offer that he thinks you're worth, and you either accept it or you don't. And the guys that accept it will play here for a longer. They will be given some perks, maybe get a captain position, be treated a little bit different. But if you want to fight them and you want to negotiate back and forth, and you ask, you don't just take what he gives you, then you are going to find out that you made a mistake. You either accept his offer or he moves on from you, or he will make your life hell until your contract expires, and then you can go move on. So
go see Napoleon, okay? Go see Napoleon and see how he dealt with his, king, emperor, whoever was over him running the country. And then you find out who's really in charge.
Yeah.
You want to win the war? You want me to take Austria? Do you want me to take Italy? Or do you want somebody else to do it or try?
Right.
I'll either get it, I'll do it, or do you want somebody else to try to do it?
Oh, yeah.
That kind of thing. I'm not trying to spoil the movie for you. I'm just saying there's a very strong similarity here.
I can imagine, and I really can. And it's, it's fascinating. It's just there's the psychology around a lot of the contracts is, if you just take David Andrews, for instance, David Andrews, it's kind of a fascinating thing. Like, if you just take the example of David Andrews was a free agent years ago. And he was given an offer before he reached free agency from the Patriots. It was really a low ball offer. And that, like most of them, like they're just so like, are you kidding? Like Tom Brady found out, like, it's like, yeah, you made an offer to retain me, but it was so low that you perceive it as not a real offer, right? Because it's so low. So what the Patriots said is like, hey, David, go out, free agency comes, find a contract. If you find something you like, come back, let us know, and then we'll go from there. David Andrews went out, found that he had no suitors, nobody that wanted to sign him. So he comes back to the Patriots. And you know what the Patriots do? The offer they had made him originally before he left free agency, they lowered it. They lowered the offer so that when he comes back hat in hand and says, I don't have another contract for you to kind of work off of. So, can I take that offer you were, you're originally offering? No, we're gonna lower it. We're gonna lower it. Actually,
when you say the Patriots, who specifically are you talking
Bill
about?
Belichick. Sorry, okay. Bill Belichick.
All right.
That should be a clear distinction. But so Bill lowers the offer, and then David accepts it, and David seems happy, and he's been here for a long time. But that, from a psychological standpoint, that hurts as a player, man. And David would say that Bill Belichick gave him all the chances, that no one else believed in him, and so there's a loyalty there. But it's Bill does that all the time. I mean, that's a tough thing, and that's just how he operates. And you know what? Today's athlete isn't gonna operate like David Andrews does anymore. Like, those, because you would come back to this team and I took bad offers from Bill, mostly because I wanted to win, and I was on teams that I knew could win. And so if you're not winning, guys aren't going to be taking discounted contracts anymore like they used to, like David Andrews did, like I have. And so it's just it's a different – Bill's still conducting business like it was 20 years ago, and these guys are looking at him like, yeah, I mean, they don't have hardly anybody signed up for next year. There's going to be almost 2/3 of this roster is not under contract next year because so many guys are like, no, I'm good. I'm sure Bill's made offers to guys, but they won't accept it because the offers are so bad. And guys are like, why am I going to take this crappy offer when we're not even winning? And so that's where we're at right now, guys.
What happened to Richard Seymour, all pro, traded, Logan Mankins, traded? Does that have an effect? Does that cause you to say, geez, if I buck the system and say no to this, I'm probably going to wind up being traded to Arizona or some godforsaken place? Does that enter your mind?
Arizona is not a godforsaken place, by the way.
I love Arizona.
Right.
You mean the desert
for playing football?
Okay, I'm just saying it's just not a godforsaken place.
I
was trying to quote Shakespeare, and I couldn't come up with it.
No, that's all right.
I co-sign on that, Lobie. But it's So,
do you think about it?
You don't now. You don't, like, Tom Brady's not here, so guys, it's like now guys don't. They have no problem, I think, leaving the Patriots, the whole Patriot experience, the Patriot way, the winning, all this, that's gone. Everybody sees it. No, it's The Patriots are like any other franchise struggling to get out of the muck, and they're a franchise right now that it's not even close to being looked at and considered like today what it used to be looked at. And so guys have no problem. Like what you see on this team is a lot of independent contractors that they were given a contract offer. They're here, they're getting they're doing their jobs, and they're going to move on. There's nobody. I don't feel a sense of like, hey, I want to be part of something great here. I want to be on on a winning team. It's like they're here to punch in and to punch out. That's what you see right here, and that's the way it's going to be moving forward if Belichick is still in charge, because it just everybody sees that it's just not the same. That the head coach isn't the same. He's not coaching the same, and people still think he's a great coach. Are you kidding me? Like, how can you say he's a great coach? There's enough evidence that shows the contrary. He's, I wouldn't feel comfortable just giving somebody else all the responsibilities of drafting and all the personnel. That's not enough.
We should define what makes a great coach a great coach. Is it just winning? Was Vince Lombardi the greatest? What makes a great coach a great coach? And is it the ability to motivate? Is it is it a sense of humor? Is it all those things? You know what? Maybe that's another story for another time, because we spent a good hour. This hour's just flown by. We've talked about a lot of different things, including David Beckham and Posh Spice.
Napoleon, Shakespeare.
I gotta get a spot in here for our good pal George Gray. If you're thinking of a new vehicle, go where
burial or cremation. This is really kind of the story.
George Gray will not talk about, when you come get a car, he will not talk about cremation or burial. I promise you.
Unless you ask him.
Well, if you're thinking about a new vehicle, go where Lobel and Lynch go. Go see our friend George Gray, the big wheel we call him, at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. We have been customers for years because we know George will treat you right, and he'll steer the conversation in the proper direction. They're a family-owned and operated dealership that we trust, and you can trust as well. So go see the big wheel himself, George Gray at George Gray. Huh?
You hear that noise behind me?
No, were you banging? Is someone banging on the door?
The guy's outside the window, right?
Yeah. I heard it.
Yeah.
While
I was talking?
Yeah, go ahead. They're rude.
George
you
Gray.
guys stop it for a minute. If you don't, I'm going to stop this show.
Send Ted over. Get Napoleon, bud.
I don't want to.
I'm really impressed today. If you told us like 20 years ago that three of us would be sitting there talking about what's his name, the artist there, Peter Lick, Napoleon, and Shakespeare, he would have looked at me like I had 9 heads.
Yep, you're probably right. Here we are, and I'm having fun, guys. I mean, I love it. Are you kidding me?
We just made you the defensive coordinator of the Patriots, so that's a good start for. That's not a bad morning for you.
Yeah. We won't even take a percentage. All we want, we just want you on the show. That's all we want.
We're gonna blow it up. We got to figure out a way to blow it up, and then replace it with quality personnel. And I think we're doing fine.
It's going to take a while, I think, to get to that point. But it's going to be a fascinating offseason, guys. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So. Yep. I'll be here if you want.
We're not done with you, Ted. I can guarantee you that.
You got it. Right. I'm always here for you guys. You know that.
I love it. I know. I appreciate it. It really makes life easy and great for us.
Well, good.
You're the best. Ted Johnson's our guest this week, folks, and you can catch us anytime you want at unanchoredboston.com.